Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of hospitality, tech living, taking a nap in your car, and so much more. Today's guest is none other than Jesus Verde. If you've been here in Austin or in Mexico, you've seen him pop up more and more. After a very esteemed career, which he still has in tech, doing lots of different things in terms of engineering, hospitality, sales, planning, he's now residing also behind the bar. His hospitality comes through in volumes, and he's working here in Austin, Texas, at Here Nor There. So we keep saying Jesus, and he's destined for greatness, but often I was asking myself, well, where did he come from? What did this road look like? And today we're going to find exactly that out. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this great chat with Jesus Verde.
Man, my morning is guided by the meetings that I have, like
of course.
Whatever. Because like if I have a meeting at 11 a.m., I'll wake up at 10:30 a.m. You know, but if a day like today that I have my first meeting at 8:30 a.m., then I have to wake up a little earlier. Yep. But I'm not a morning person.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, I've been working in the corporate world for like 16 years.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
So I mean, I've had to, but I've always been more creative, more productive, and everything at night. So mornings are sometimes a little bit tough for me.
Dude, what about coffee, the aid of caffeine? Is that something for you?
Yes, there was a time where I was drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
I try not to consume caffeine. I use caffeine as a tool that will help me accomplish something. Like, for example, and I can use it in the morning if I know that I have a lot to do and I can't take a nap.
Yeah,
I take a lot of power naps. For
me too. All right, what's the ideal time for you?
20, 30 minutes.
I love it. 33 minutes for me. I got it dialed in.
Okay. Nice. Yes. People ask me like, how do you do it? And I take naps.
Yeah.
I take naps.
Same.
If I'm sleepy, and rather than taking a cup of coffee, if I have the time to take a nap, I'd rather have to take a nap and keep on going.
I love that.
And I skip the coffee, you know.
Yes.
So that's what I do more now, especially with late hours at the bar and then having to go to the office at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's very, very little sleep. So people ask me, how do you do it? It's very little sleep. It's naps as much as I can. I can take like power naps.
That is a tip.
Yes, power naps. And sometimes I have to rely on a Red Bull.
Yes.
Red Bull. When it's like 10 p.m., 9:30 p.m., we're in the middle of a shift working at the bar, and your guests, they want to consume your energy. That's why they are also there. You know, you need to have a high level of energy to be able to give service the right way. And if I'm feeling low, I'm going to have to take a little bit of a Red Bull sometimes, and then just keep on going. But
I love that, because that's power naps. I mean, for those that can power nap. Because an hour's too much. 45 minutes to me is too much.
Yeah.
30 to 35 minutes or below.
Yeah.
I think
30
it's
minutes
just ideal.
Yeah.
It's incredibly ideal.
And another thing is I'll take naps, whatever. I take a lot of my naps in the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I mean, like, let's say I'm on the office. Because I do have to go to the office, like, from Tuesday through Thursday.
Yeah, right.
And let's say I work at the bar until like 2 a.m. I went home, took a shower, went to sleep at like at 3 something a.m. Then I woke up at 7:30 a.m. to be at the office at 8:30, something like that.
Yeah.
I'll be meetings, and then suddenly I have some time off, but I only have, let's say, hour and a half before my next meeting.
Yeah.
I can't go home, take a nap, and go back to the office. Man, I'll go to the car. I have a pillow at the car.
Okay.
So that's another thing, yeah. So
Is it one of those neck
I'm
pillows,
prepared.
like the
Yes,
travel pillows? Yeah,
exactly.
that's what I did. Yeah,
and
same.
the thing for the eyes.
Oh, like a cover?
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, so
You put little cucumber slices on
no,
your eyes.
man, bro, that would be great. Yeah, but no, but so and my girlfriend laughs. She's like, I can't believe. I'm like, baby, sorry, I have to go and take a nap.
Yeah,
Because she's like,
yeah.
Are you walking to the parking lot right now? Yes, I'm going to the parking lot to take a nap.
I love it.
And I mean, no shame. I mean, I do what I have to do.
No,
So,
and I think that's incredible. I do the same thing, because I'm sure people
Yeah.
ask you that same kind of question. How do you do it
Yeah.
all? I think that's a very common question for me. One of the things, though, that I've been, as I stopped drinking a lot,
yeah,
I still drink. I'm not being sober. I'm very open about that. I love alcohol and how it tastes and
but
all
more
that.
conscious drinking.
More conscious.
Yes, me too.
And then I take more extended periods of time off from drinking, right?
Mm.
But what has happened
Mm-hmm.
is I'm like figuring out every single fucking thing that I can do as a task in the house to make sure I keep busy. So the question is,
yeah,
when you have downtime, although probably very seldom,
yeah.
does that make you uncomfortable?
No, for me, it's a luxury to have a time to just sit in the couch and watch Netflix or watch series. I see it as a luxury. For me, that's something that if I'm sitting on the couch watching a series or watching a movie, which I love watching movies.
Oh, same.
But if I'm doing that, it's because all my to-do list is done. Which rarely, like there's always something to do.
List, Jesus,
yeah, there's something else. There's always something.
Exactly.
I'm editing videos, editing pictures that I took for someone, or I have to prepare a recipe for a pop-up, or I have to do something, or I wanna. There's always something going on.
Yes.
That even when I get out of work and I'm not working at the bar, I get home and just to keep working on something else, something Jesus Verde brand, as we were talking. So. But I do love my downtimes. I love traveling. I love if I can go to the beach. It's my perfect vacation.
Water or the sun?
Water. I love the water. I can be in the water.
You're a swimmer, right? From high school. Yeah.
I love swimming. So I can be in the water the whole day. So I treasure my downtimes, but I also I don't know if it's workaholic, but I do get a lot of enjoyment from what I do.
Yes.
So sometimes even though, let's say it's been 3 days and in the last 3 days, I've only slept 8 hours, but I've accomplished all these little things that have got me closer to a goal that I've been chasing for so long. And finally I'm there. It's like, man, it's
worth
great.
it.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Have you, because you just turned 37, was it?
37. Yeah. I'll be 38 this year. Yeah.
In June.
June
24.
24. Cancer.
Yes. Just after my brother.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that, because I'm going to be 44 in like 2 days, right? And
happy early birthday.
Yeah, cheers. Well, thank you.
Saludcita.
I find that as long as I keep my body good and the rest good, because I couldn't tell you right now, I need more sleep than you do.
Yeah.
I can keep going, creating. For you, are you noticing any wear and tear on the body now as you're kind of keep going at this pace?
Yeah. I've there's been times that I just felt sick. I've been ill.
Really?
And I think,
physically, right?
Physically, yeah. And I feel like it's been just overwork. I remember last year, it was June, July was one of my busiest months professionally, but on the industry side that I've ever had. So I did like BCB, then I did Aspen Food and Wine direct, like straight from BCB I went to Aspen Food and Wine. Then right there it was still the cocktails. It was like a full like 5 weeks that it was like back-to-back events. So it was very little sleeps, a lot of work, long hour of work. And I remember I got fever, I got stomach ache, I was so bad. I think I lost like 10 kilos.
And you're not
and
to begin with too.
Yeah. And so I feel it was just my body telling me, man, you need to slow down. So I've had like, it happened to me again in November last year. It was also a very, very, very busy. I had never been as busy, which was, I had Tampa. I went pop-up in Tampa. Then we had an event here. Then I went to Thailand. Then I arrived. I had Perfectionist. Then I had like 4 or 5 events back to back, plus my corporate job always in the morning. So it's like put it always. It's always there. My corporate job, and plus doing all of these things that I'm doing. And again, I got sick again. So I think my body like I guess my defenses go down when I'm. But yeah, there is some like consequence that you feel in the body.
Absolutely.
By doing all this.
So my dad, he's a cancer.
Okay.
And I could sum him up in a couple of different sentences. He's a good guy. But he really, really let work define him.
Okay.
He is a guy. He's got interests, but they're different now.
Yeah.
He's different now that he's retired, right? Because he got so much purpose from working. So I think about someone who works. We both work a lot, but we're obviously different, and which is a great thing.
Yeah.
But what is it that keeps motivating you to go on? Is it the work? So is it for the work itself, which I certainly understand? Is it for the growth of you and your brand? What is kind of the mix there?
I think so. There's two things on that because as you know, I have two different sides of a coin when you speak professionally. So let's say on the corporate side, what keeps me going, there's this thing called the golden handcuffs. I know exactly. I believe it's called restricted stock units. Yeah, exactly. And but I also, there's a reality. I have my family in Venezuela, my sister in Venezuela. Yeah. My parents, brother's here though, right? My brother is here. Yeah. Mom and dad, they live with me in my apartment.
I didn't know that.
So I help them financially. So there's a financial help that I keep provide to my family that it doesn't just allow me to say, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna quit my corporate job and life is just easier, and then I can take a cut in my paycheck and then I'll do something. No, so I need to keep doing that unless I find another stream of revenue that I can substitute that one.
Right.
So I mean, there was a time in my corporate world, it gave me a lot of joy for so many years. I remember back in the day, I would build these tools for these different companies, and then at the end, when I built those tools, I was like, yes, look what I did. Yeah. And with this, I'm saving in X amount of millions of dollars to the company. Look at this, the way we innovated this, and being part of those projects were very, very cool. Now it's not the same, I guess. Then you slowly realize how you're just a number in this big corporation, this big company. It's cool. I've learned so much, and has shaped me in a lot of ways to things that I do now. Yeah. But now my drive on this in this job that I do on the corporate side is more. I just need, it gives me my insurance, it gives me stability. It gives me stability and it allows me to help my family. So that's perfect. I'll keep it unless, again, I find a stream revenue.
Right.
And then the other side, which is the industry, man, that's passion. That's passion what drives me. The way it began with just curiosity as, what is whiskey? What is gin? What is tequila? I started just reading about it. And then you go through the whole rabbit hole, especially if you start finding it interesting for you. Right. For me, was the story behind each of these distillates, that when you research the history of tequila, you learn the culture of Mexico. Yep. When you study whiskeys, you're suddenly learning about Irish culture, Scottish culture, and then Japanese. And then it's so interesting how through spirits you learn about the story of these countries suddenly. So that's how I started. I learned how to make cocktails. I found joy in mixing drinks, flavors, working at it. I never found my place in the kitchen.
Really?
So cooking, I think it's
because you made like a tomatillo thing for the Patron competition, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's weird because for cocktails, maybe I can spend weeks R&D in something and working with flavors and working with ingredients and tasting them, but then to make myself a fancy dish, I make the best sandwiches, I make the best arepas, I make the easy things. I lived by myself for a lot of years and in different cities. So I know how to cook. I know how to do basics, but it's not something that I found a lot of pleasure in cooking. But with working with flavors through cocktails, wow, that was something else. I found that, and so it's just I just wanted to learn. And what really keeps me at it is, first, there's so many techniques and flavors that I still don't know that I want to learn. There's so much to experience in this industry, in the bar and outside the bar, to learn, to experiences. So experiences drive me a lot. And then I keep meeting so many interesting people. We're talking about your podcast. You've interviewed a lot of people from the industry.
Yeah.
Because they're so interesting. So I've met as well so many interesting people, and suddenly it's people that I used to just like follow them on Instagram like 2-3 years ago, and suddenly I'm able to make drinks with them next to each other. It's like, damn.
Do you find, because your massive background in industrial engineering, right? Which we'll talk about high school here in a second, but to me that seems so structured.
Yeah.
And there's something about cocktails. The builds can be structured, but the ingredients themselves don't have to be structured. So do you find that the photography, the branding, the cocktails is the perfect balance to corporate structure?
Yes, I think like everything has, and that's the way I approach things. Everything's very structured and very structured. And you said it. For example, in the terms of cocktails making, there are templates that you can follow to create a cocktail. You can always go,
there's
that's perfect. Yeah, but there's always a structure to it, which I also appreciate and love. But then within those little structures, there's also a lot of creativity to do, a lot of leeway to do.
Yeah.
Then in photography, I enjoy a lot. I enjoy editing a lot, and I love it too. And the video part, doing videos and editing the right music, the right time.
Yeah.
I enjoy that a lot. So I do like the structure part of all the things, but I also enjoy the creative, and also the part that I've been able to meet so many people when it's servicing my guests or traveling around the world. I think that's been my biggest joy. I think it's been the hospitality side, and I'll tell you a little more about it, but that's how I really felt in love. What like really pushed the boundaries. Okay, this is what I want to do, because I was reading books. I learned a lot about spirits. I learned a lot about cocktail making, whatever. I was at home, but then the hospitality side, wow, that really trapped me. And it's an art. It's the art of service, the art of servicing someone. The joy that you get from just providing service to someone, and I found it beautiful, and that's
and you took to it quite well, right? And that's one of the things is that I'm gonna say this, and then I want to talk about a couple of things, but I can't recall in my 12 years in this thing someone that became so revered and respected so quickly.
No, appreciate you.
Which I suspect none of that was intentional, but I think you had a plan of keep doing the work and keep showing up. So in other words, you as a brand, that is something you're very conscious of. Yeah,
very conscious. I think when I joined the industry, I started I started of course bar backing. I cleaned the floors, cleaning everything.
But you were a patron first, right? Is that how this kind of works?
Yes. I've always been I've always been a foodie, I think, and then I would visit a lot I love visiting restaurants. I love visiting bars. Then when I started studying more about cocktails, about spirits, I started traveling around and seeing what an experience at a best bar is. I remember once the pandemic ended, I took like 4 weeks. I wanted to travel to Europe to experience what an experience was at a 50 best bar in the world. What is it like? Like, I've been to Michelin stars, I've been to very cool restaurants, but what's the experience at an amazing bar? So I took those 4 weeks. I traveled. I did Amsterdam. I did Spain. I did Switzerland. I did a bunch of countries, and I visited like 30-something bars in that trip.
Love that.
And my biggest learning was that the best bar was not necessarily, and I didn't know that, maybe now it's quite obvious, but at the time for me as a patron, it was okay, so it's not just about the drinks. I thought the best bars were just serving the best drinks in the best glassware, the best thing.
Right.
And then I remember going to these bars, and I remember there was one that it was very expensive. It was beautiful, but it was very expensive. And then I sat down at the bar by myself, but the bartender, he was a douchebag, you know? So I was like, yeah, this could be the best, but I don't want to be here, you know? Exactly. And then I would go to a different bar, and I remember one of my greatest experience was at 1862 bar in Madrid.
Oh, I know this bar.
Yes.
It's a beautiful bar.
There's a guy called Angel. Yes. Angel, he's been like 30-something years in the industry. He has done it all. He knows it all. And his hospitality, his service is just, it taught me so much that night. And he was like, Jesus, this, you can learn it. You can learn how to mix drinks. It's easy. but to know how to service someone, how to make them feel at home.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's it. That's what really makes the best bar a best bar.
Yes.
It's the experience. And so I went into that whole rabbit hole. Okay, what's an experience? And so then I started paying more attention to those things. And then I just fell in love with the bars. And I mean, yeah, long story short.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that you love it. But something that, because I'm concerned about my brand, I'm saying air quotes, my brand, I know what I'm doing by this point, right? But
we are a brand. Yes.
Yeah, precisely. Even though, if we're hanging out drinking, it's a different story. I get into other things and personal things, all that. But what is something for you that you'd consider so off-brand you wouldn't do?
There's a lot of things I wouldn't do. But ethics play a big part, and respect. I think I don't like making fun of people.
Oh, same.
It's
besides influencers, I kind of like that. It's fun for me to make but that's maybe one exception.
Yeah, but it's but yeah, there's certain ethics things and respect. I guess it's values.
Values.
We were created. I was the way I was educated with a lot of values. My family story, I'm a huge fan of the way my dad and the Verdes and everyone, like, they were very poor. My family, they came from very, very humble beginnings, both mom and dad.
Yeah.
Very, very, very humble beginnings. But there was something that I remember my grandma used to tell my dad. He was like, yeah, we can be poor. That's fine. We can be very poor.
Yeah.
But there's no reason for you to have your shoes dirty.
Right.
Or why should your uniform be dirty? So yeah.
Take some pride in it.
Yes. Yeah. So it's those little things that make you, it's about really valuing what you do. You can be whatever you are, but always put your 100%.
Yes.
And always respect everyone's craft, everyone's what they're doing. And so yeah, respect, I think it's a big thing for me.
It have been, I imagine by this point, there have been some conversations about brand work, ambassador work.
Yes.
I know there has. Is that also a fine line for you, or a very concrete line? You said, well, if the brand doesn't practice ethical practices, I can't take the role. Is that also transferred to that?
It is. I've been offered to work with brands, and thankfully it's a luxury to be able to say no as well.
Right. Well, a corporate gig,
it's
right?
It's thankfully it's no, thank you. Just because I know the story or I know they're not ethical. So yeah, I think that there is a line.
I imagine. All right, so let's go back to Venezuela.
Yes.
You have really well educated, and I'll get into some of the spots that you've kind of studied at. But in high school,
yes,
right, athletic guy, you're probably what, 6'1", 6'2"?
I'm 5'9".
Well, you make it look like 6'1", because I feel 5'8". I'm like, Jesus towers, right?
No, 5'9", yeah.
But were you, to use the word, do you think you were likable then? Did people flock to you? Did people want to talk to you? Did you have a good group
I feel
of
like
friends?
I've always been very social.
Yeah.
I've always been very social. I've always embraced everyone. I've always tried to feel everyone welcome. Sports, I played basketball was my main one.
You must have been a power forward, right?
I was, yes. I was translating that into Spanish. Power forward. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Yes, I represented my state with
really?
basketball. Yeah, I used to love playing basketball. And then you mentioned briefly swimming. Yeah, I love swimming. So I swam a lot through high school, and but then there was a point where I had to choose between swimming and basketball, and then I went to basketball. Through basketball, I was able to get into my university. The university
Las Colinas or Las Colinas?
Las Colinas was a school.
Yeah.
Was my high school.
High school, okay.
And then college university was Unexpo. It's a public school. Mm-hmm. One of the best engineering at the time. And I just wanted to study there because they were the best engineers. It was like very...
But was that something you took? Because when I was in high school, I didn't know shit about what engineering might be. I know now, but I know I don't want to do it now. But
I studied industrial engineering because I wasn't sure what to study.
Oh, okay.
And as an industrial engineer, you know a little bit of something,
right?
A little bit of everything,
mm-hmm.
A little bit of everything.
It sounds fancy too.
Yeah. I just knew. I guess I got influenced a lot by my dad because he used to work at this manufacturing plant.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see my dad get up early with his briefcase and then go work every morning, and then he would come back home. So and through his job, he was able to provide to us very well. And then I kind of knew what he was doing. I knew he was a manager at this place. So he said, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to be a manager. So, okay, what do I need to be a manager? Okay, I need to go to university. I need to study this. I don't want to be a mechanical engineer. I want to be an electrical engineer. I want to be a manager. So I want to have like all these different skill sets.
I see.
So that's why I chose industrial engineer.
Are you good at math?
I love math.
Okay, good.
Love math. Yes, love math.
We differ there a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm great. I love numbers. I'm great with. I need to even quantify everything.
Is that right?
Yeah. I quantify a lot. I like to measure everything. I'm very little strict with
Cocktails
that.
are perfect for you.
They need to. They have to be. If not, it's like
that whole centiliter thing with the here nor there guys, right? Like,
milliliters.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. But then, so then after I graduated from university as an engineer, I worked for 5 years where I worked with the only wine producing company in Venezuela. There's only wine.
What,
There's only one.
Polar?
Polar.
Expresas?
They have Bodegas Pomar.
Okay.
And they produce like Tempranillo, Sauvignon Blanc. They produce like sangria.
Yeah.
The only produce in Venezuela. The only produce in Venezuela wine. Yeah, it's crazy. It's and because of the position that they are in the Ecuadorian, they have 2 harvests a year, which is wild. It's wild.
Okay.
I mean, one yields more than the other, but it's so, man, Venezuela, we're so lucky geographically to where we are. It's a shame, of course, our leader and this and that, but it's so I work with the winery. They make also a sparkling wine, which was very great, like to learn about all of that, barrels and stuff. And then I work with Pepsi through their non-alcoholic division first, so it was water and sodas. And then I moved to between Empresas Polar. They also have this department that is just about food. So they produce all the food in Venezuela, basically.
Wow.
And so I was able to work also in that department.
Like logistics and stuff?
Always in like logistic operations, demand planning. So I worked in procurement for like manufacturing parts for some time. So I had to like really know the machinery that we use. So for me, it was great. It's been 5 years in Polar doing all these things. But then I was like, okay, I guess I've been able to put in practice my engineering side, but I need to improve my business side.
Is that when you came to the States?
And that's why I came to the States.
Right?
2014 to do my MBA to Holt.
Yeah, in Boston?
In Boston, in Cambridge. Beautiful.
I love Cambridge.
At the time, I was actually going to do my MBA in Venezuela.
Really?
Because I love Venezuela. There was a time I was telling this story to Roberto yesterday. I used to have like a 4x4. So at camp, and there were like 2 years of my life that between school and I was always traveling. So I traveled around all Venezuela, camping around the whole country. So I know my country very well.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that I was like, man, I'm never going to leave. Until, of course, it got so bad that I was like, man, if I really want something better for myself, I need to leave. And that's when I was, okay, you know what? I'm not going to do my MBA in Venezuela. I'm going to have to do it abroad. So this hopefully opens doors for me.
Why Boston? Had you looked at some other programs?
No, yeah. So my thing is that I wanted to do a 1-year MBA. I didn't want to do a 2 years. I wanted to do a 1-year MBA. It's called Accelerated MBA. Also because I didn't have the money to just be like 2 years without working. So I was like,
that's
no.
Smart. There's the numbers playing.
Yeah, I can't do 2 years no working. So I was like, okay, I have enough money. In theory, I had enough money to do a year. So that's why I chose. There were like 4 programs that I was between, but then they gave me a very cool scholarship. So I went
What's
to Holt.
the process like? Because Roberto, who I've talked to about his journey into, Boston as well, right?
Yeah.
Easy to get a visa if it's for academic purposes?
Academic purposes, yes. No problem. I came with a student visa. Okay. That was easy. I got my student visa, but then when you finish your program, they give you this thing called OPT, which is optional practical training, where you get like a temporary work visa, to say. And the idea is that once you finish your school, you have this OPT period where you can actually make money, because as a student you can't work.
I didn't.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. With the student visa,
But you said you get some partial scholarships, so that helped somewhat.
That helped. And then once I finished my program, I started working with a consultant company. And for me, it was like, if my condition was, if you are not going to sponsor my work visa, I don't want to work for you. As I needed to, my plan A was to stay in the United States.
Yeah.
My plan B was to stay in the United States. Plan B, I couldn't go. I mean, I couldn't go back because Venezuela was so bad.
So because of the conditions.
Because of conditions.
This was such a vast difference, and you knew you'd get a proper education.
So MBA. So then I started working with this consultant company, which they accepted me. They was great working with them. They helped me with the whole visa thing. And then after that visa, you can also, a company, they can also get you a green card. So that's what they did. They got me the green card as well.
Oh, amazing.
And this was all pre-Trump. And the reason why I mentioned this, because pre-Trump, all those things were easier. Like, for example, my green card process was like 9 months. Now it's like 2 years and something.
Shit, I know
it's just like, So back in the day, it used to be easier, like 2015, 16. To get like either green card or all these visa things, or easier. Now it takes a little longer. So I was lucky in that regard. So I got my work visa, then I got my green card, and then I at the time I was dating this Venezuelan girl who was with me throughout my whole career.
She was in Venezuela.
She was in Miami, actually.
That's why you went to L'Oreal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured it was over there.
She's a girl. Of course, it was a girl, man. So while I was in Boston, studying and working, we had long distance relationship. She was in Miami, I was in Boston. And then we got engaged. I moved to Miami.
Yeah.
And then Miami was amazing. Miami was great. I had a great time. But so I moved and worked with L'Oreal, also with the
logistics,
supply chain, demand planning. Yes. So I went back to what I was doing, because in Boston I was working as a product manager, which was great. It was something new that I never done. Yeah. It was cool. Now I went back to operations, and in L'Oreal, so Miami, I spent there 2 years, and then Miami got very expensive, and salaries are not very good.
Yeah.
So, and at the time, I was married at the time, so I got married with her in Miami.
I swear you told me this, and I was like, I'm pretty sure he's been married too.
Yes. Yeah. So as soon as I moved to Miami, we got married. And then she stopped working, so we were just relying on my salary.
Oh.
So Miami,
was that the plan though, or was that kind of a thing that was dropped?
No, it happened. Yeah.
Oh.
So Miami, because Miami got very expensive, we had to move out of Miami, and then I started just applying to different jobs throughout the states.
Yeah.
And I got approached by where I'm working right now, this big tech company. And they gave me an offer, which was very good, and then I moved to Austin. And that
2018?
was 2018.
Yeah. And you were still married at the time?
I was still married at the time. And then we stayed married for like a couple of more years, or like a year and a half. Then it just didn't work. Yeah.
So you all were just because now we're talking Austin, where were you all living?
I was living here in the Domain. Always around the Domain area, yeah.
Are you still at the Domain now?
Yeah, still very close. I'm actually like next to Q2 Stadium now.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Right.
And so that's why. So I moved to Austin because of work. And then, so when we got divorced, and then she moved back to Miami, I stayed here. I was able to actually focus a lot of my time, the things that I was more passionate about. Like now, suddenly my time was just mine.
Yeah.
I was by myself, and so even though I was researching cocktails and everything when I was with her. When
gloves are off now,
just now
like
it's
wide open.
Yes, right? Now it's just me. Now it's just my time. I don't have to like give my time to someone else.
So to that end, because I've had this I've been married twice.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I mean, I do.
You
know
believe
why.
in love.
I do. I certainly do, Jesus. I appreciate you recognizing that. Maybe to a fault, I do. But what I realized is, I think one thing we very much have in common is we like to create things.
Yeah.
And so I started a podcast sometime a year, sometimes a distillery.
And let me add something else. Sorry.
No, please.
We are not scared on suddenly studying at a field or something that we don't know nothing.
That's right. I'm not afraid of failure.
Yes.
I don't think you are either.
Exactly. Yeah.
But one of the things that I've experienced, not now with Kay, who I love dearly, and you've met her, is that I will not. I'll always be this way.
Yeah.
I will always have to create. I will always want to do more.
Yeah.
Not because
Curious.
curiosity.
Curiosity.
Precisely.
Yes.
Has that been an issue for your partners because you're just busy, you're thinking, you're creating? You have to have someone that's very understanding to.
Yes, and that's also a big reason why after I got divorced, I was by myself for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Until now I met Danny.
Yeah.
Which you've met.
Yeah.
And but I dated, but it was just like.
Was it important to you to be with someone?
No, not
right?
really. No, not really. But that's something that I learned as well. That when I started getting into this whole creative process and I started getting into this rabbit hole, very interesting things that I didn't know before, and now I'm being able to do it. And now because it's only me and my time, I can work my corporate job and suddenly I get out and I go straight to the bar.
Yeah.
There's no one complaining that I'm not at home. I don't have to give,
And there's something that I've never articulated before.
Okay.
You and I should never feel, because we're not hurting anybody, and we're always really trying to be positive and connective with people. So our efforts to do that, to bring people together, to bring community together, for agave, for cocktails, whatever, we should never be made to feel bad about that.
Yes.
But partners that don't understand, it has nothing to do with us spending time over them or that we prefer. In fact, it's just that we must create.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with anyone else.
100%. And I think that was a big thing for me. It's if I'm gonna be with someone, it's someone that first understands what I do, supports me, and you know what? I also want to be their cheerleader as well.
Yeah,
it's something that I admire. For me, admiration, it's very important.
Yeah.
It's so yeah. I finally found someone, which is great. She's amazing. She understands what I do.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of her. Like, she's such a badass.
I love that.
It's like we're talking. It's like, no, but do you know this? Man, my girlfriend, she's the best. So I'm so proud of her, and it's very cool to have met someone who now understands what I do. Yeah. But I'm also there's times where I can just like sit back and just be your cheerleader.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that part as well. That's very cool.
We're sitting in kind of a studio. I've been an audio engineer for over 25 years, music artist, all this bullshit. And so Kay needed some voiceover for a competition and then something else she was applying for. And the opportunity to help her with my skills, to make her sound as brilliant as I think she is, that was something that I realized was missing all along. Because I wanted to lift her up, like you're talking about,
and it gives you that joy as well. You feel proud. It's it's cool. So that's why I was. But to your question, I it's not that I did enjoy being by myself. I did enjoy being alone. You learn a lot about yourself, and then suddenly now you're ready to, like, if you're with someone, it's because you want to be with someone, not because you need to be with someone. And then but only time allows you to, like, makes you understand those things. So I travel by myself a lot, so that I got to know a lot about myself. And so that's why. So even though I was okay, I did want to, like, there were some times where you're like suddenly enjoying this experience where you're like, oh, I wish I could be sharing this with someone. It's,
I know.
So
like that you can be a cheerleader too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think people think I'm self-centered, but it actually couldn't be further from the truth. I'd rather spend time with other people than, and I'd like my time alone. Yeah. But there's a couple things I'm curious about for you. The paternal instinct. Okay. I think women get asked this question all the time, but I need to ask men this more. Yes. You're a man of a certain age. You have a very productive, connective relationship. Does starting a family seem like something that, one, you could maybe fit, or two, that you're passionate about? I think at some point in my life, it was a goal of mine, but like very, like, when I'm in my 20s, maybe when I was married first, my first marriage, we thought about it. But it's a responsibility to bring a child to this world. So first you have to be sure that your relationship, it's hard. It's like, how do you say it? It's very,
it's
Like complex?
yeah, no, like like your relationship is solid. Sorry,
Solid.
like you have a solid relationship
Foundation, yeah.
it's solid foundations for you to bring a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So then I couldn't find that with my ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess so then we just we moved out of that because it's irresponsible to bring a kid if you and I are not good, you know.
Right.
And then as life kept moving on, years passed, now I'm at the point where I'm like, if I don't have any kids, I'm good with that, you know. I'm good with that.
Same.
As long as I'm happy. If I get the itch and I'm 50 something,
Mm-hmm.
hey, maybe I'll adopt. I mean, there's always options, but what I do want to make clear is that I think I'm never gonna make a decision like that based on age or based on social pressure or based on family. No. Of course, if I'm with someone, if I decide to do it with someone, of course there has to be agreement. But at the moment, at least right now, I'm very good, and I don't think I want kids right now.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah, it's
like I'm probably gonna get the procedure done and stuff, and like I've been around a bit.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm curious about, your folks living with you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because how bad the political situation is in Venezuela?
Yeah. So
can you tell me kind of what the
100%. So my goal when I moved to the States, there were some moments in my life where I was feeling I felt bad of how good my life was.
Right.
And then I knew that my parents, my family, they were not having such a good life because Venezuela, there's a shortage of food, there was a shortage of electricity, of water, of everything. So, and it was not a matter of money because but it's like, but I go to supermarket and there's nothing, or suddenly I have no power in my apartment, or it's been 72 hours without water because it's so. Even though you had the money, it's like there's things that you can control. So those things really affected me a lot when I was here in the States and knowing all that. So my goal was always to bring them in some way, to help them bring them. So me having the green card, then becoming a citizen, and then for me it was important just because as a citizen I could bring them. I could ask for my parents to
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh,
so,
good.
So you can like ask for your mom and dad to come and come to the States as a citizen. Only mom and dad. You cannot bring brothers, sisters. Yes.
Really?
No.
Just mom and dad? Okay.
Mom and dad, yeah. Or I think it's brothers below the age of 18. I'm not very sure, but something like that.
Like dependents kind of, right?
Yes. Yeah. And so that was always a goal for me for my mom and dad to be in the States, to live in this reality that I live, which is great, man. It's not only Austin, but thankfully the States provides you with a lot of positive things that I know there's a lot of complaints and people complain about this country. It's like, man, but you don't know, man. It's like, like you know what it is to live in a third world country and living through all these things. Yeah, no country is perfect. There's that. But yeah, so my goal was always to bring them. So when I became a citizen, I was actually ready to bring them to the US. And but then there's this thing called it's a visa called diversity visa. Okay. I don't know if you know about this, but the United States, they give out like 50,000 visas around the world.
Oh, I do know
green
about
cards.
this. Yeah.
Yes, green cards. Yeah. It's like a lottery base.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So let's say that they give 1,000 to Venezuela to bring diversity, and then 30 million people apply. Yeah. So my mom applied and she won.
Oh, amazing.
So so she got so they both came with a green card to the US. Which is like
don't have to apply for
nothing.
Oh, that's incredible.
So they were able to come here with their social security to be able to work right away.
Yeah.
So but then there was so that happened very fast, and my parents were like, Jesus, it's like, man, come with me. I mean, I was living with myself at the moment. I thankfully have a 2-bedroom apartment. Come live with me, mom. I mean, don't worry. I saw it as it's my opportunity to give back to my parents who gave me everything. Yeah. Now it's my opportunity to give them back a little bit at least, by helping them as much as I can. And I always tell my mom, you guys can stay here as long as you need to. I mean, my dad is working there. They're like laying their foundations here in this new country for them. They are almost 70 years. Wow. So like to migrate at that age is not easy as well, but they're doing it. My dad works wakes up very early. He goes to work.
Same with his briefcase.
Same. Yeah. So it's but then, my dad's work ethics are incredible. I think I got a lot from him, and I learned so much from him. He inspires me a lot. he's an inspiration. He came here, and even though he was CEO of his company and whatever, he was blah 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 in Venezuela. He came here. He was like, man, I'll do whatever. I'll do Amazon packages. I'll do work at a warehouse. It's like, he has painted houses. My dad, he has done it all.
I love that.
And you see him waking up at 4 a.m. He goes to work. He works 12 hours, 10 hours. He come back home. No complaints. He's so happy.
Well,
He's so
all right,
happy.
so let me ask
So,
you, because I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not above anyone.
Yeah.
I like where I'm at, of course.
Yeah.
But I'll dig, fiber optic lines with a dig bar. I know how to use a dig bar. I'm not
100%.
too good for it.
100%.
But
Yeah.
when you see people complaining
Yeah.
about wanting to get this kind of job and that kind of job, does it ever ring true with you that's like, well, you could be working hard too? I feel like in America, and I'll say this, is that a lot of folks, it's not that they don't want to work, but there's a line of which they won't work below.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I agree. It's, I think migrant mentality is also different. When you migrate, you come with a different mentality. You are escaping communism or you're escaping something, and suddenly you're here. It's like, I don't want to go. As I told you, I had my plan A, my plan B, my plan C were all the same. It's like, it has to, because there was no turning back. So also when you are faced against that, I guess you are able to do that and to do whatever and to reinvent yourself as much as you need to.
Yeah.
Maybe as you're saying, Americans, thankfully, they haven't had to do that much. They have a great country. If you get laid out, you get your benefits. What are they called?
Unemployment.
Yes, unemployment benefits. And then cool, and you live in a good country. It has its services work.
I'm so pleased to hear that you brought your folks.
Yes.
Well, or that your mom won the lottery, which I think is incredible.
Yes.
What about your brother?
So my brother, he came to the States, but through something called political asylum.
Interesting.
So
what was he? What allows political asylum in the United States?
Yeah, so you have to prove that you are basically you're in danger if you stay in your country because of the political situation, which we've always rallied against the government when we were in Venezuela because it was so unjust and everything. So at a certain way, you're always a target. Not only us, a lot of Venezuelans, a lot of Venezuelans. So
is it because of dissenting against popular opinion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And so United States, they offer you asylum. It's like you come to the States, we'll give you your Social Security. You can work here, you can leave. But then once the regime that you are flying out ends, you have to go back to your country. Yeah. Luckily for my brother, the regime's still there, so he's been able to stay here in the U.S.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How do they check up on that? That's a crazy thought, right?
Yeah.
Was it reading a newspaper in the morning? Like, that's right, Bill. Venezuela's still fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, the idea is like, while you get your political asylum here in the States, you are able to found a company that will sponsor your work visa that you can move out of that status. Yeah,
I see.
That's the goal. Or that's what you should do. You should try to move out of that status because that's a temporary status.
Did he works in the industry as well? Is that right?
He works in the industry.
Culinary dropout.
Dropout, bartender.
Did you get that from him, or he got that from you, or what? How did that work out?
No, so it was. It's not that I was influenced by him to I wanted to be a bartender because I saw him work as a bartender. I did started learning the craft through him. I remember my first ever cocktail that I think that I ever learned was a mojito. And he taught me how to make my first ever cocktail, which is a mojito.
Yeah.
He used to work in the industry in Argentina.
Oh, really?
He was a bartender over there. He worked with bars. He managed bars in Argentina. And then, so he knew how to make drinks. So totally, he taught me how to make my drink. I said, cool. So then every time friends would come over, I would make it a caipirinha or a mojito. Yeah, right. And then it's, I guess, the art of hosting. I fell in love with hosting. I always loved having people over, hosting you, coming over. I'll cook. Even though I don't cook, I'll make you something, or I'll buy something, but I'll make you drinks, Right. So the part of being able to offer my guests that would come to my apartment something different from just like rum and coke or vodka tonic or gin and tonic, but to craft them a cocktail, I was very into that. So I love that. So that's how I started just learning more about cocktails because I wanted to be a better host maybe. and then I appreciated the craft more, and then I started learning more. So that's
I love that.
Yeah.
So I've known some things about you over the maybe a year, maybe that we've known each other, something like that. Maybe or
A little over. I remember
a little over.
at least, yeah. Because I still remember the first weeks in Plain Sight. We were open, and you would come, and we would always host you and serve you.
Yeah.
And In Plain Sight had been open for at least a year and a half.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
No,
at least, yeah.
That and besides saying why In Plain Sight's one of my favorite places here and there, besides the staff and the vibe, like that's pure hospitality. One of the places that'll remain the best of any that I've ever been in the world, you know. So I got 2 questions left for you. One is you love movies, yeah?
Yes.
Same. So let's say you're drinking a mezcal anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where. But with any actor, actress, living or deceased, who would you love to sit and have a mezcal with?
Wow. An actor or actress. Can I tell you actually? I think actor. I was gonna tell you a musician actually.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Jay-Z.
Oh, amazing.
Yes. I would die to get a drink with Jay-Z. Yeah?
Yes. I think you're the second person among 400 interviews that said Jay-Z.
Really?
Surprisingly, very few people have said Jay-Z. Yeah.
Incredible. It's my favorite rapper ever. I think he's so smart. He's so intelligent. What he's done with his brand and everything. Then creatively and musically, his history and everything. I would love to have a mezcal or a cognac, whatever.
I love it.
Yeah, with that guy. Yeah.
No,
incredible.
it's a great answer, and I'm glad because he's very thoughtful, very intellectual.
Yeah,
and adjacent to the spirits industry.
Yes.
All right. So last question then for you.
Okay.
Is this hybrid of experience that you have, corporate life, industrial engineering, supply demand, working for a big tech company, doing sales and other kinds of things, but also being incredible behind the bar, thoughtful, creative, all that.
Thank you.
In your mind, does this all converge at some place into a single job, a single role of which Jesus gets to have just finally one job?
I think I'll never just have one job. I do hope and I do think I'm gonna be transitioning every time more and more to the service industry, to the bar industry, because I'm very passionate. And that's what I've been working towards, to find my path and like be able to build something in this industry so I can finally quit my other job and just be in one industry. I think I love photography as well. Yeah. So that's something that I wanna keep learning more about. And if I can find if I can monetize that hobby, that thing that I'm very passionate about, it'll be great. So I think even though, let's say I'm working in bars or I would always like to keep in photography, and I tell you why, because I feel like through photography I found a way to uplift other people, someone else. Right. So as I always tell all my bartender friends or everyone in the industry, man, if you need headshots, if you're doing a competition, if you're and if you want me to take, I can go there and take pictures, because I know that those pictures that you can use them and they can be part of either your portfolio or social media or whatever. So through photography, I've been able to connect with a lot of people, very interesting people. I've been able to help in a lot of ways to different people just through photography. So I found that as being a tool that has given me also a lot of joy, but just it's like a way of providing service. Yes. It's like an act of service. Of course. And I loved it as well a lot.
Well, all of this shows when you're behind the bar or in front of the bar, it's very, very obvious that you give a shit.
I give a lot of shit. Yes. It's you can do half. You can do half things. It's my dad always said, if you are the one who's gonna be cleaning the floor, great, do it, but be the best.
Yeah.
So whatever you do, try to put your 100%, try to be the best. Yeah. And are you gonna be the best? I don't know if you're gonna be the best, but at least try. Yes, exactly. That's my philosophy of whatever thing that I do. I try to give my 100 and be the best version. I try to give it all. So if I'm a night in service, I'll be trying to give you my all. If not, I will probably call in sick or something. Because,
Yeah.
like, you know. But so yeah.
And WebEx at 11
Yeah,
a.m. in the
exactly.
morning.
Yeah.
Jesus, honestly, man, it's been a massive pleasure.
Man, the pleasure is
sit here.
mine.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much love. As you said, you met a while back, and I love that we met through the service industry.
And then we found out, like,
yes, and then we both found out where we work, and then so many things in common.
That's crazy.
And I also am a huge fan of you, everything that you do, and everything. You are so multifaceted. Everything you do, from perfumes to Sotol to this type of thing that we're doing right now. Then I saw you singing. Oh, he's also a musician. How many layers is there to Mike G, man? So no, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. So
it's pleasure's all mine, and we're both really big onions.
No,
peel one layer at a time.
Yeah.
Talk soon, Jesus. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, there we have it. Jesus Verde of Here Nor There and other tech achievements. You've seen his photography. You'll see his competitions. Just recently won a competition with Patron. So many things that he's doing and that he can do, that he's capable. But I think it's slow and steady wins the race. He has established a career in tech and engineering. He's, like you said, over 15 years doing this. And so it gives us some freedom. We share that in common financially, but also it gives us some freedom in our mind. Working in the spirits industry, being in the hospitality industry, these are all value adds for us because we don't necessarily have to do it. And so I loved getting to know that about Jesus, and it's always great to see him around. He does exude hospitality. He is certainly cut out for this industry, and it was such a pleasure getting to chat with you, Jesus. I know it will not be the last, and hopefully next time it will be over more mezcal. So thanks for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter what you've got planned for the rest of the month or for Valentine's Day, or if you're going to make it to Monterrey potentially in March, please keep dancing.